What's going on? All right, we are live now for the Get More Client Show. Yay! All right, let's dive into
Yes,
it.
sir.
First and foremost, thank you so much, as always, for being here with us. We really appreciate it. This is our 11th episode, Brian. Can you believe it? Time is flying by. We are doing this quickly. It's pretty exciting. As you know, as always, guys, you can find us on your favorite podcast apps. We stream the show live on Facebook. We also post the entire show on YouTube and our clip show on YouTube as well, and on LinkedIn and on Facebook and wherever you can find us. Please, wherever you are watching this show, please drop a comment, hit us with a subscribe, hit that like button. Leave us a comment, even if it's negative, we'll laugh at it. It's all good because we appreciate your viewership very much. As always, I'm here with my co-host, Brian. Brian, how you doing, buddy?
You already asked me that, bro. I'm doing good. Told you I'm living the dream.
Yeah, well, look, I'm just dotting every I, crossing every T. Just dotting every I and crossing every T. Brian, today we are talking
rules for the people in the Facebook group, though, right? Like, this is not going to be an interactive show. We're going to be pre-recorded. So if you're hanging out here on Facebook, we can come back to this later. Say what's up, hit the like button, drop some comments. We'll go interact after the show, but for that, we're just going to now close the curtain a little bit. Still get to watch, but we're not going to interact live. And Alex, why don't you start us off for episode number 11?
Episode number 11 has arrived, my friends and family. This is what we are covering: how to get more coaching and agency clients. You guessed it, on the Get More Client Show on Facebook. Now, Brian and I do this every single day. This is how we grow our business. In fact, it's probably the most valuable thing that we do in our agency, in our business, in our coaching program to get more clients. As always, watch all of our episodes on YouTube, listen on your favorite podcast app, subscribe, leave us a rating and review so that you can join us for more of your favorite episodes. The first thing we are going to cover today is what not to focus on Facebook. I think the reason behind this, and Brian, we're going to kick it over to you here in a second, is because so many people get stuck on a bunch of shiny objects that Facebook is offering instead of focusing on the highest impact opportunities every single day. So Brian, what should we not be focusing on when it comes to Facebook?
Yeah, I'm going to share that in just 1 second, but just a little side story as we sort of set the stage and get into all of this. I used to hate Facebook. I'm going to be super transparent. It was actually after a bad breakup in early college, and I just didn't want, I don't know, I wanted to go into hiding. I wanted to just not be, it was so hard to recall the exact emotion about why I didn't want to be on there. For me, it was because I think I didn't accomplish yet what I wanted to in my life, and I wanted to go into hiding until I could like reveal to the world, look how awesome I am, you should have loved me, you never should have left me, and I resented Facebook for this like hyper transparency and this ability for anyone and everyone to connect. And it took me a few years to realize how naive that mindset was. And Facebook can be a pain in the ass for sure. But like Alex said, this is now where we acquire most of our business for our $1 million coaching program. And there's a lot of different strategies and things and moving parts inside of Facebook. So we are going to talk about what the areas you should focus on. But let's start with something that's probably counterintuitive. And if Facebook marketing is new to you at all, this might come as a surprise. But your business, your Facebook page for your business specifically, not your personal profile, but your business is almost useless. I don't want to be too dramatic because I'm sure there's some businesses out there that had originally built a good organic following locally when there was a time before you had to actually pay for likes. This is so interesting. A little bit of an aside here and a rant. The idea that Facebook now allows and has allowed for a while business owners and business pages to buy page likes and buy likes for their posts, engagement on their posts. So it's almost like selling fans, essentially. And I'm looking at the Instagram platform, which is owned by Facebook, and it's this. They're not doing that yet on Instagram, to my knowledge, but it's the same idea where they're just going to, at some point, whoever can buy the most followers is going to win. And just because you have a huge follower number doesn't mean shit that people are going to buy. Frankly, if you have a business page with a lot of followers, you are going to be held back in the algorithm by the social platforms because they want businesses to pay to play. So the one thing I really want you to avoid as you're getting into Facebook advertising would be actually trying to publish content and get reach and clients through a Facebook business page. In my opinion, the Facebook business page serves as maybe let's call it 3 things. One would be actually so you can run your ads and you can have an ad account. We'll talk about that later. The second would be as a place to syndicate your content. Just publish whatever else you're sharing elsewhere on that page, as well as a place to post testimonials, social proof, etc., stories. That's what the word I was going for when I was just stuttering there for a second. So you can have this as a billboard for people who go discover it on their own. But if you're trying to buy fans or buy likes for your content without a really intentional plan of where that content is actually pointing them into some sort of funnel, you're doing this wrong. And I frankly wouldn't do it anyways because, again, unless your content is designed in a specific way to bring people to you, if you're just paying for engagement and likes, those are vanity metrics. We want conversations. We want people who are interested in working with us, which is what the rest of the strategies we're going to get in here today are for. I would say the 4th thing your business page might be useful for is as people find that and they want to DM your business and start a conversation, make sure you're watching your inbox there, but you can't actually go DM someone first. They have to DM you. So I would use it as sort of a website placeholder, as a mechanism and a tool, but something that you don't actively use to generate leads or rely on to generate leads. So that's the very first thing I want you to avoid. Now, let's move. I'm going to kick this over to Alex. Let's talk about the quickest, dirtiest, nittiest, grittiest way that you can go about actually starting to generate leads on Facebook. This isn't my favorite strategy, but if you're in a place where you need leads and conversations now, it can be extremely effective as long as you're consistent. So Alex, why don't you tell us what that is?
Yeah, so Brian was bringing up earlier about the value of how Facebook has easily allowed us to connect with so many people. And he was expressing that, it was difficult for him during a, breakup to be able to have all these people easily connect. And he didn't want to, and he wanted to shut off. But in this day and age in business, like 99% of business owners have their own business Facebook page. Now, are they checking their inbox often? Probably not. Does that mean they have a marketing person already working for them? Not necessarily. Are they running ads? You can check Facebook Ads Library to see and audit them potentially. But one of the easiest ways to get in touch with a business that's more new, I don't know what just happened to my video. Just turned off for a second. It's back. That was so weird. I don't know.
Back.
Anyways, one of the easiest ways to get in front of any business at all is simply searching the business's name on Google and then Facebook. And guess what's going to come up? If you guessed the business Facebook page, you guessed right. Now, Brian just expressed about the lack of value there is in terms of trying to build up your own business Facebook page and trying to buy likes and all that. It's correct. That doesn't mean that there's no value inherently in having it, because of course, Facebook is a very powerful SEO model. So having a page on Facebook will necessarily increase your local business higher up the rankings. So when you search for Barbara's Cookie Shop, I bet you money Barbara's Cookie Shop has a Facebook page, even if they don't update it often, even if they don't post on it often, even if they're not running ads, because they understand the importance of being omnipresent online and being present on Facebook. So if you DM those pages offering them something either directly or just sparking a conversation, you can inherently get a message back. But the reality is your likelihood of getting messages back is probably under 10% or so. And also Facebook will throttle you with the amount of messages you send. It really depends on the throttling. Sometimes they'll let you send no more than 10 in an hour. Sometimes they'll stop you after 7. Sometimes you can get away with 15. But if you do it every single day, multiple times a day, you might be able to get away with, let's say by the end of the week, about 100 business pages messaged, 50 in the worst case scenario. If you call every single one of those business pages the day after you sent them that message, in what we call the warm call, which we've spoken about in other videos. And again, big shout out to our personal Facebook group. See what I'm doing here, Seed Planting, the 7-Figure Culture Facebook group, which you should be able to find in the chat below. We're going to be doing really soon, maybe after this is already sent to you guys, but the cold call shot line, we've done the hot wing hotline, showing you how to actually warm call with a little bit higher stakes, which we can talk about later. But if you warm call these leads, that you messaged on Facebook with an offer, whether it's, hey, can you handle 10 more roofing jobs this month? Or, hey, can I audit your Facebook ads for you and show you what you can do better? Or, hey, I'm trying to provide leads to a med spa in Atlanta and would love that to be you. Whatever that message is, if you call them up and say, hey, I connected with you recently on Facebook. I don't think anyone's checking your inbox. Maybe there's opportunities in there and I'd love to help you. Can we chat for 15 minutes? That model is immensely powerful and valuable. It's not the best long-term strategy, but like Brian said, it's a quick and dirty method to get in front of them. And just to seed plant this works with anything. I know we're talking about Facebook today, but you can do the same thing on LinkedIn and on Instagram and on Yelp and on wherever they're at. If you can DM or message the business owner wherever they are, including, by the way, contact us pages on websites, which will usually go directly to their email, you can always follow up with a warm call. It's really important. It's really valuable. So Brian mentioned earlier that it's not best to be posting on your business page, but what if inherently your personal page becomes a business page? I'm going to kick this over to Brian to talk about, and then Brian, kick it back over to me so I can share a little bit about how my personal page ended up becoming a business page altogether.
Yeah, let me add a little bit to what we were just talking about there. Because I know some of you are hearing this like, oh, I want to start doing something, but where can I put this list together and what should I actually even say? So let me give you some guidance there. So there's actual takeaways and some tangible advice you can use and put into action. So 2 things to do. Alex mentioned one. Just use the Facebook search filter, right? Go pick a city, pick a niche, throw that in there, and then you can go down that list 10, 20 a time and message them the same canned message over and over again. I'll talk about that in just a second. And a good way to keep track of this is to like their pages. So as you go back, you see the pages you've liked, you've already messaged, you skip down to the next one. After you exhaust a list in a city, move on to the next city. Now, you can also export a lead list. Our recommended tool would be D7. There's lots of similar ones out there though. But anything that actually scrapes the business page's Facebook page, you can have a link directly to that, open it up in a spreadsheet, go through it 10, 20 at a time, DM them, cross them off, and then like Alex was saying, swim in that wake of warm calling them after the fact. Now, this works better in industry. What I love about Facebook business pages, not to use for yourself, but as reaching out to them, typically the admins are the owners of the company and they're pretty high up. So unless there's an agency running it for them, you're typically going to get to the owner, which is good, but you might not always know who that is. My opinion is the best approach with Facebook pages specifically, not with connecting with other people in other groups. We'll talk about that in a minute. But is to have a really straightforward ask. You're not pitching anything, you're not trying to sell them anything, but ask if they're in a place where they're interested in and can handle more blank. Blank could be roofing jobs, real estate clients, sellers leads, whatever the thing is you know your clients want, you are trying to give to them, ask for and validate that interest. If they want that and they need it, then you can go from there. And again, your warm call would be the same context. So just some ideas of how you could utilize this. Let's move on to the next piece Alex was discussing. This is the second way to use Facebook to get more clients, and that would be actual organic content on your own page. Now, again, I had this big fear of sharing for the longest time, and it's hard to coach you outside of that mindset other than just get over yourself. No one cares that much. The people who you think care and are judging you don't care as much as you think they do. And you have to practice getting outside your comfort zone because these things you want, inbound leads, people coming to you, looking at you as the expert is going to require you to put yourself out there, even if it's uncomfortable. So you have to acknowledge that, go into the uncomfort, get better at it over time. But I think it's also important.
I want to touch on this too, the idea of this getting out of your comfort zone and being afraid to share your best material. So first of all, in our mentorship program, all of the stuff that we share are Google documents, like as our SOPs, that have a copy link. Anyone that's ever bought our course ever is capable of saying, hey, blank person, I've got Alex and Brian's incredible prospecting system in a Google document, and they can share it with someone and we'll never ever know. And I used to lose sleep over that. In fact, I would get emails, Brian, messages all the time. I found your stuff online on this $97 Filipino website that said that they're going to give me my course. Do you want me to pull it off or blah, 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 blah. And we used to worry about that stuff. And then we realized, most people, 99% of people, are not buying anything from you for the content. Content's valuable, it's definitely important, but the reality is in the day and age we live in the age of information, right? Your parents and parents' parents never had access to information the way that we do. I think at this point, because Google is relatively old in general, it's still very, very young, obviously long term, we are very jaded to how fast we can find out information. Finding out information before would literally require you, Brian, to go to the library, sit on your ass, find someone that knew it already. Now it's like you search on Google and there's thousands of different people telling you the same information. The reason people would ever invest in anything for information-wise is either diluting the information to something the most valuable or getting shared experience from someone else. So when we share information, whether it's for free on our podcast, whether it's paid in our mentorship program, whether someone stole it from us and gave it to someone else, it doesn't matter because we know that the actual most valuable thing are these two elements. Number one, the mentorship side of things, accountability, support, customizing and personalizing any information you're getting to fit you, the audience, the person listening right now. And inherently when you remember that when I say you, yes, you, Joe Smith that's listening right now thinks, oh me, Joe Smith, but also Carla Edwards too, and David Tuchinski, and all these other people. Can I even name 6 fake names off the top of my head? Probably not. I don't think so. I always go with Ben and Michelle and like Greg. I do the same names every time. But anyways, you have to remember, right? There's so many yous out there, so many people out there thinking about this information. It needs to be custom. It needs to be personal. It needs to be shared experience. So yes, if you want to buy information or get free information from YouTube or your podcast, it's fine. There's no wrong thing, but you can't be afraid of sharing your best content, even if it's the same content that people are paying you money for, because they're not just paying you for the content. They're paying you for the customization, for your shared experience, for your time, and of course, your mentorship, guidance, and accountability. And I think that is a really key thing. And it's allowed me to feel more free over the last 6 years since I've been sharing any information online to not worry when someone's like, I found your course on this $97 website. So be it. I will also say before, Brian, we kick this back, shout out to the POD family. No one has ever been able to find our Scale 7 membership program or Elite membership program for free on those other websites. The OG POD course, the $1,000 course, was on there, but no one from Elite or Scale 7 has ever done it, and that's what culture's about. It would have been really sexy if I was able to do it well, but I didn't do it great, so let's try it again.
Do it in post-production. We'll pay you.
Fix it, guys. Okay, go ahead.
So yeah, I really appreciate that. Again, give away your best stuff, and people are too lazy to implement it on themselves. And especially if you're in an agency, like give away your campaigns. The clients don't know how the hell to actually run Facebook ads appropriately. But when you can show them like an outcome they want, that will attract them. We'll talk a little bit later, Alex, and I'd love if you could share this story when we get to you next about what Belle did in that Facebook group recently, one of our clients. Fantastic strategy, and I might touch on that just briefly here in my segment. But content on your own personal page. I think the most important first step is to not just be posting into a black hole of your friends and family. Personally, I would not go start a new account. I actually think it's a good thing to blur the lines of your personal and professional, because the people who want to work with you professionally see you as a human, as a real person, as not just at the very worst, someone who's catfishing them, like someone who's using a fake profile. That's very likely not going. That will happen if you're using a fake profile, not a fake profile. I'm sorry, a new profile that has no personal stuff, was just started yesterday and has 2 photos added in the last week, and now you're adding random people and you have no friends. They're starting to be like, this feels weird, and they're questioning that. Versus, hey, this person's had this profile for 4, 5, 10 years maybe or longer, and they're a real human. They've got a family, they got friends, they have experiences, and that is powerful. So I would blur the lines, but here's my piece of advice. You need to go into other relevant Facebook groups. We'll talk about how to utilize this specific strategy next, but in this context, adding people from those groups as friends, so when you post your content, the right people actually see it. Now, I wouldn't go into just any random group and start adding every single person you see. I would be intentional with this. I would go into high quality groups, ideally groups that you either paid to be a part of or the people in there are already paying to be a part of, shows they've made and they have a willingness to invest in their business to be somewhere. That's ideal. I realize that's not always going to be the situation. A lot of the free Facebook groups, however, as you go into the members, make sure to have qualities of things you look for and want to avoid, right? So just as an example, if someone's outside of Europe or the United States or South Africa or Australia, typically don't let them into the group. Nothing personal, but we know our audience and the people who can afford our products are in certain places in the world. For you, it might be, are they an actual owner or manager of a gym, or are they just a trainer, right? So you're not going to want to add the trainers as a friend if you're going after, as friends, if you're going after gyms and gym groups. You want to go after the people who can actually make decisions. So I would create a routine of going into these groups, sending about, again, it throttles you at about 30 to 50 a day, 30 to 50 friend requests. Do that for a couple of weeks. Don't stop after that. Keep doing it. Build up a little bit of a piggy bank of actual people who care about your content as you start to publish it and as you grow your following. You can max out your friends list to about 5,000 people. And if you are considering starting a group in the near future, I would max out your friends list first and provide value. So in the context of content, so when you actually start your group, you have a bunch of people who are interested and already ready to go. Now, we have on this show talked about posting guidelines and the things you should and shouldn't post. I'm going to simplify it here though for you, okay? I'm gonna do three, maybe four types of content, okay? Let's keep it simple. I want proof. I want you to be posting proof of your results. What can you actually do and or achieve? It could be stories you tell yourself, screenshots of a campaign, a client testimonial, a client written or video testimonial, anything that is proof of concept of what you do. Second thing would be two-step posts. Now, we can talk about this a little more later, but essentially you're just asking someone to comment anything, comment a GIF, comment me, comment an emoji below if you want insert blank thing. Do you want my best performing med spa campaign? Comment me below. And getting people to raise their hand and show interest in what you're actually doing. Second one, or third type of post, in my opinion, would be value, lessons learned, stories. So basically good and bad lessons you've learned from the front lines of actually doing and executing and providing value in that context. Those won't get the most engagement. People read it, see it, they appreciate it. And again, that invisible ROI that they'll come to. We have so many people who come to work with us we've never seen like or comment on any of our stuff, and they've been like, I've been following you for years. Like, why don't you hit the freaking like button then? So
Ryan, that happened today, literally today on Go High Level. Someone posted like, what course should I be in? And then of course the POD fam comes with their pitchforks and it's like, we'll kill you if you don't join POD. They don't go that hardcore. And then I messaged the guy. I'm like, hey bro, like, you know, I'm happy to help you. He's like, yeah bro, I've been watching all your stuff. I'm like, I've literally never seen your name ever. Why didn't you like anything? What the F? It's pretty funny.
Stop caring about the vanity metrics of the engagement, right? The engagement from a two-step post that I shared a little earlier is important because you can reach out to those people. I'll hop to that in just a minute. But the fourth thing you should be considering posting is actual the personal stuff, like your actual life. What are the things you're doing that you have going on that excites you, that you're passionate about? I probably don't do a good enough job of this. I try and keep some of my personal interests away from business. Like CrossFit, I might talk about a little bit with the community or randomly, but I'm not like all about it on my page like some people who, you know, in the community are. So again, there's give and take, but I still try and post some of my personal stuff as well. So just kind of put it into those boxes and don't overcomplicate this for yourself. Something that's really helped us produce more content is videos like this, because it's easy to sit down, create something in an hour, and then be able to splinter that into a lot of useful stuff. Instead of trying to have to create each piece of content from scratch, you do something like this. So let's talk about how you actually monetize this now. So you've got people from other groups, you're posting content, you're getting engagement. Two-step posts are very important, asking for engagement. Hey, comment me below if you're this person or you want this. Here's how we monetize it. The people who are engaging with your content, liking it, commenting on it, I want you to go reach out and DM them. Simply, you can do something like, hey, thanks so much for engaging with that post. What was your takeaway? Or what are you currently working on around blank topic, whatever the post was. Start conversations with your audience. Now, I would even start conversations as you're adding people as friends as well. So as they add them from another group, you can start the DM conversation right away. Hey, thanks for connecting with me. Now, what should you roughly say? My opinion is, because this is not like a cold interaction, like a cold email or a cold DM to a Facebook page where we're going to be really direct, I want to actually ask an open-ended question. And you can use this strategy. I love it. And I got to coin this. It's called a What I Do sandwich. And why it's called a What I Do sandwich is because there's two pieces of bread that are about them, and the meat, the sandwich, is what you do. But you don't make it about that thing. You quickly move on to about them. So let me show you. Let me give you the framework. It'd be like, hey, Brian, thanks so much for connecting with me. I help coaches and consultants scale past six figures to 7. Would love to know more about your business and what you focus on. So I thank them for connecting. Bread. The meat of the sandwich is what I do. Like, hey, this is actually what I accomplished. But now I'm going to quickly turn it back over to you and open up some dialogue. So it gives them a chance to ask me about what I do if they're interested in and need that, but makes it about them from actually opening the conversation and not just with a new friend trying to pitch them as soon as we connected. With a connection where they say, yes, I want to connect with you, I want that to be more conversational, ask questions, super simple framework. We just like to go 3 parts. Qualifying question, pain question, olive branch. You might have heard this on the show before, but a qualifying question would be qualifying them a little bit. Hey, what are you currently doing to get more clients? Oh, I'm only relying on referrals. Okay, let's ask a pain question around that. Are those referrals as reliable as you want to be, or do you want to grow faster? Oh yeah, they're hit or miss. I want to grow faster. Olive branch. Okay, got it. Thank you for sharing. Would love to show you some ideas. Would you be open to a quick phone call? So just keep some of those thoughts in mind as you are setting appointments through your personal page and you're building an audience there. I'm going to kick it back over to Alex to talk about how now you can go into other groups as well and leverage their audience that's already there.
Yeah, so this is a really important strategy and extremely valuable. Utilizing other people's groups and audience to be able to get your own audience and your own opportunities is very critical, but it's also really important to talk about how to do it the right way. There's inherently a wrong way, which is like these fake, fishy DM bait posts, or the type of person that's going to like write any sort of post at all and then immediately like go message that person and make an immediate offer. Those things are not effective. It's not that they're not effective. Frankly, they are effective. I think that's fair to say. They are effective. The problem is it makes everyone look bad. It makes you look bad. And once you get caught, you're definitely going to be booted from the group. We've had, of course, people do it in our group. It happens no matter what. And we'll have people like message an admin of the group that liked their post and like make them an offer. And be like, do you not realize I'm an admin of this group and now you're removed? It's pretty strange how that happens, but it does happen every once in a while. So what's the right way to do it? The right way to do it is to provide value first in the groups. So a lot of you that watch this might use Go High Level. If you go to High Level's official group and search my name in there, the only thing you'll see is value proposition group, posts, except one from 2020 where we made an offer only because I pre-confirmed with the actual owners of the group, the admins, that I was allowed to do that, which is a really valuable thing to do. If you are utilizing someone else's group, one of the first things you can do is provide value in the group. Only, inherently, with no other want or desire other than providing value. The law of reciprocity, which we spoke about during our sales version of the Get More Clients show, will then more than likely have an admin from that group say, hey, great post. Once they do that, you can DM them and say, hey, I'd love to do an interview in your group, or I'd love to make this offer in your group, or I'd love to provide this value in your group if you're okay with it. Meaning you're opening the door for actually allowing them to give you the opportunity. Now, there's a lot to be said about this idea of asking for forgiveness, not for permission, which I respect and I get that. Just the model here is if you do that, the risk you run is that you get booted from the group. So if you're willing to get booted from the group, by all means, go for it. There's no harm. It's not the end of the world. The worst case scenario is your post gets deleted and you get booted from the group. But if you really value that group, you want to take this with a little more tact, right? Normally, Brian and I are big about like go fast, break everything, make a million mistakes. But that's because most of your opportunities are what we call infinite, right? Brian calls it the infinite game. When there's one immensely valuable group that you're a part of, that you paid to be a part of, and other people paid to be a part of, you don't want to be that group where you're making all the mistakes and running through the walls. You want to use the test groups to run through the walls and make all the mistakes. And I think that's a really important element. So what you're going to do is you're going to make valuable posts. Anyone that likes those posts, friend those people. Once they friend you, they're going to be stuck into your profile funnel, which we spoke about in the other episode, right? About your cover photo and about testimonials and your intro and sending them to your group and everything. You don't have to even DM them yet. Later on, you can DM them by saying, hey, I'm so glad we're friends. Maybe I saw you from this group, blah, 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 and just spark a conversation. Don't immediately pitch them. No one wants to be pitched that way, and they're not going to create opportunities that way. Share lessons. Share value. So a lot of the posts that I do are the top 10 lessons from my last 10 sales calls, or the 5 best posts we did that grew our business, which was our last show. The episode 10 was exactly what we covered right there. Share lessons, share value, do lists, share things that are insightful. Don't just share it for the sake of getting bait or having to have a reciprocal value. Don't poach people's groups. Utilize it for opportunity to increase your expertise. The more people see you, like Brian's talking about in the invisible effect, the more opportunities you'll have. They'll inherently friend you. They'll inherently be interested. And another really important note, not every single person in the group has to be interested in working with you. Not every single person in the group has to enjoy your content. Only one person does. Only 5 people do. Only 10 people do. It doesn't have to be everyone. What you're looking for is creating content partnerships, opportunities to connect with other group owners that have your audience with them, that provide reciprocal value to you, that you're providing to them, that will allow you to grow, and that's so key. The last element here before I kick it over to Brian, make sure that you're also active in the group, not just posting yourself, but replying to other people's posts as well. Other posts that were good, share that you like the post. Other posts that you can provide value on, add your expertise. Other questions that are asked, ask and answer. We used to do this basically when I started POD. The only thing I would do would be in ClickFunnels. That was my prospecting. In the ClickFunnels group, probably an hour or 2 every single day, answering sales questions, answering prospecting questions. Because that group, I think at the time, I could be wrong here, but had probably like 200,000 people in it. So there's posts every 3 minutes. And if you filter by new posts and someone's like, how do you handle this objection? And I write out a fire ass answer, that person's going to friend me and be like, hey, that was great. And I'm like, hey, let's talk about it. And then now we have an opportunity. That's really valuable. And it's a really, really effective model. But remember this last piece. It can't be expected that this is going to work after just like one post or even a few posts. It takes time. Set a goal for weekly content, weekly communication. Make it a non-negotiable to provide this value, because if you do, it will slowly but surely build your own audience. It will allow you to provide value to other people's audience. It will incur your opportunity to create growth long-term. And I think that is absolutely key. Brian, anything else to add before we talk about, of course, our own group and building your own group?
No, you nailed it, man. It's good. Again, stay patient, guys. You can't expect this to work right away. We covered in the first strategy around DMing pages and calling them. That's how you can make quick shit happen for yourself. This last piece was a little more of a longer term play. You can absolutely have things happen quickly in the DMs, but you have to stick with it. You can't just expect this to happen after a week or two and then throw your hands and say, oh, it didn't work, and you move on to the next thing. Like, got to give it time, okay? Next, let's talk about Facebook groups. I love this strategy. It's a little bit uncertain, in my opinion, the future of Facebook groups. Facebook is putting a lot of money behind promoting these. If you haven't seen, like, they have commercials now, and they're really pushing the idea of having a community, and it is probably the single most effective strategy, maybe aside from Facebook ads that we're going to be discussing on this episode today. So ads will come next. But the scary thing is that it's almost like rented land, because you don't technically own the group. Facebook can do whatever the hell they want. I don't think it's in their best interest to radically change how groups operate now, but if you want a place to talk business solely and have good organic reach, a group is where it's going to happen. Aside your own personal page, the page is okay, but people want to be a part of something bigger than themselves and have there be this level of exclusivity. So we'll do certain pieces of content like this one or the Hot Wing Hotline only in the group, and leverage the friends we have on our personal profile to invite them, promote content, get them excited to get them into the community where we keep the majority of our offers and the conversation around, really what we do is. And it's nice because I guess it is rented, but you own that space to have the platform to talk more openly about your business than you could in someone else's group. So let's talk about the 3 areas of the group that I think you should focus on. I wrote these down. I gave it a little sexy name too. It's not that sexy, but I'm going to say it anyways. So the GCN framework, which is grow, convert, and nurture. Now, first thing you need to do is actually grow a Facebook group. So we're going to go through these pretty quickly. We might honestly, and we not even saying might, in the future going to do an entire episode just on Facebook groups. But let's just start with the 2 easiest ways to get people, 3 easiest ways to get people into the group for now. Number 1 would be tapping into the network you already have. Go talk to people in your industry, friends, colleagues, coworkers, etc. in that space already. They're going to be the easiest low-hanging fruit. Go to them, invite them first, have a little foundation. Second place would be actually direct outreach. I love LinkedIn for this. You can automate it. Go to your ideal clients and invite them. Hey, I started a community so we can all connect together in a group. Would love to have you be a part of that. If you're interested, I'll send the link. Either way, have a great day. I grew a group from 0 to 5,000 in a little more than a year from just a VA doing that on LinkedIn every single day and getting 5 to 10 members a day, just growing that steady over time. And then the third thing, which you have almost no control over unless you are growing your group in other ways organically, is how Facebook organically shows that to people. So you want Facebook to think your group is important. So when you're inviting other people manually and automated through LinkedIn, other Facebook groups, email, etc., into your group, Facebook sees that as valuable and important, and they'll show it to more people organically so you can increase your reach. The fourth way, which isn't probably for people who are starting, but investing in ads. This is how we're growing our group right now. And again, sending signals to Facebook as we're paying for ads to get people in there, they send more people there organically because they see the influx of people joining. So those are some of the areas you can start to consider actually growing your group. And you don't need a big group, by the way, to make a lot of money. I talked about this earlier. I think in the future, even now, quality will trump quantity in terms of the audience you build. Because I don't give a shit if you're an influencer with 100,000 followers. Are they buying your products? Are you making money? There's so many broke-ass influencers because they either don't know how to effectively sell, or two, their audience is so big, they've lost the ability to actually connect with them one-to-one and sell them products that would actually change their life. It's just got to be a post about something like that they're an affiliate for and hope that some people buy and they make a 10% commission. If you're selling a high-ticket service, which you are if you're listening, you're a coach or an agency or a consultant, an expert, you should be charging a lot of money for that. Typically, if you're charging more than $2,000 per month for something, you're not going to do that over a DM or through a sales page. You're going to do that on a sales call with someone. So you need to have one-on-one relationships with your group. So again, leading me to the next piece of this, how do we convert our actual group members? There's a number of strategies. One of my favorites is as they join the group, ask them, would you like someone on our team to reach out and show you how to do blank? Ask right then and there as they join, do you want to speak with someone? We'll show you how. Second piece is if they're not answering that or they don't want help, DM them like we've been talking about throughout this. Hey, thank you so much for joining my group. I'd love to know what's the number one thing you'd like to learn in here so we can create content around that for the community. And now it opens up the door again, that qualification and pain question. What are they going to tell you? Oh yeah, I'd love to learn about blank. Awesome. We'll be sure to cover that more in the group, but could I share a couple of ideas right now and maybe on a phone call later that should help you with that as well? Again, opening the door under the context of the group to provide value and support. Also, don't be afraid to pick up the phone. Call your members, especially if they're in a niche where their numbers live online and you can find them. Highly recommend doing that as well so you can convert them over the phone if they're not responding to your DMs. Third way to convert people in the group would be through actual posts and content, specifically direct offers. Hey, who wants blank thing? Raise their hand. Great. Reach out, send DMs. Then long term, as you nurture the group, it's really a matter of experimenting with different content. We gave you some ideas here earlier. We'll do a whole episode in the future on actual just content marketing itself. And last week, we did talk a little bit about actually the posts that have worked best for us. So go back and check out that episode if you want some ideas for how to long-term nurture your group. But don't think a Facebook group has to be a long-term play. You can make money from it pretty damn fast if you know how to and use these strategies that I'm sharing with you. So definitely something you should be considering. If you're not quite there yet, maybe start with your personal page, adding in people, creating content, audience, influence there, and then starting a group, but just food for thought. Now, let's kick it over to the very last thing that we also do on Facebook to get clients, which are ads, which are... I'll just let Alex talk about it. I'm not going to say anything bad about it. I'm going to let him share his frustrations and vent, and then let him tell you what you should be doing.
Yeah, so I think, you, the audience member listening, probably knows a decent amount about ads. I guess you're either an agency owner yourself or you run a coaching program, in which case you've probably heard that utilizing ads, inbound opportunities to grow your business is really valuable. We have spent 10 episodes talking about mostly outbound opportunities and stories and everything like that. We very, very briefly have touched on inbound. And inbound can be semantical. You can say your Facebook group is inbound. But specifically when most people are talking about inbound opportunities, they're talking about Facebook advertising. Now, not just Facebook advertising, of course, YouTube advertising and Google advertising and Instagram advertising and Snapchat advertising and Twitter advertising and blah, 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 blah. So here's the thing. Facebook advertising as a service is something that's still relatively new over the last decade or so. It's definitely a burgeoning industry. It's the probably single most consistent offer that our clients in prospecting on demand make, which I would say second would be Google ads, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, I would say Facebook, Instagram is one as the same because they're owned by the same company, which, yes, you guessed it, is the Facebook company. So the idea here is Facebook obviously will promote ads to your audience to generate opportunities for them to come to you. There's two different really styles of this. I think there's a lot more than two, but in terms of this model that we'll talk about, there's lead ads, which don't allow the person to leave the Facebook platform. And then there are funnel-based ads, webinar-based ads that allow you to send someone off of the website into your world, into your funnel, into your process. Now, at some point, you've definitely been through a funnel, whether it was a webinar telling you how to, use like this secret pill that helps you lose 20 pounds, or this 5-minute training video that allows you to make 10K in 7 days and you jump on a call for it, or a lead ad would just say again?
I said you're in a funnel right now.
Hey, maybe. So the idea would be that you use these ads to capture your audience, capture their attention, and have them come work with you. Now, personally on our end, Facebook ads has been kind of a bane of my existence. We've been trying to have an effective ad strategy for 5 years now, and I can't confidently say at any point that we've ever had one that was like ultra consistent. The problem with Facebook ads is that there's a red ocean for many businesses out there, but I don't like to have this mindset of like scarcity, meaning that it's too competitive and blah 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 blah. It's really just a pay-to-play marketplace, right? Like the more money that you put in, the more opportunity you have. The problem is there could be a lot of money that ends up getting burned just to find the process that works. The CFO that we work with has bluntly said to us multiple times that we just have not put enough money into ads because we spend so much time and effort and energy on the outbound processes that we've spent the majority of our time talking about, and why we're kind of shoehorning here ads into the last 5 minutes of our podcast is because we're not sitting here at all saying that we're expert at advertising, but you can't run or do a podcast on how you get clients on Facebook without talking about ads whatsoever. So I will say this. There's two options for you to consider advertising. Option one is you hire a company to run ads for you. Definitely a valuable thing and consideration to do. You can do a company or a person like on Upwork or Indeed or onlinejobs.ph, etc., free up. Or you can try to learn it yourself from all these other courses that have been out there all this time. I'm going to make this pretty simple for you. Don't try to learn it yourself. It's a waste of your time. You're not going to be able to become an expert at it as someone has already spent 2, 4, 5, 10 years on this that really understands every single element, every single process. Just join a coaching program that's going to either show you how to do it or do it for you, and ideally someone that's going to hold your hand while you push the buttons, or letting them push the buttons for you so you can figure out the best strategy. And identify what's best for you the way that we recommend it, not based on us, but our coach inside of our coaching program. He recommends that you start with lead ads first so that they don't have to come off Facebook. It will make it easier, then building a funnel, VSL webinar to be able to generate leads long term. So hope that helps and gives you some clarity. That right there is the GMC, Get More Clients Show, episode number 11. What a show it was. Brian, thank you as always for being here. Everyone else, thank you for giving us your time. Please, if you are here, always hit that like or love button, drop a comment below, subscribe, find us on your favorite podcast apps, find our favorite clips from every episode on our profiles and on YouTube and everywhere. We're going to keep being omnipresent and bother the crap out of you with our content, and I hope you enjoy it. I hope you do. Brian, thanks so much for joining us as always. Everyone else out there, have an amazing rest of your day, and we'll see you on the next one.
See ya.